Larry Johnson, former NFL player Larry Johnson. Now, a lot of people have been confusing this. I've been seeing AI slot pictures of Grandmama Larry Johnson. Why the fuck? I have no idea. Just some people don't know who Larry Johnson is, the former NFL player who was a bodyguard for Rocawear Records. And also, I believe he got a modeling gig at one point through Rocawear Records. So, Larry Johnson did an interview not too long ago to where he had talked about the different things that he had seen and experienced in Hollywood. And he even told a story about when he was at a certain Jay-Z and Beyonce party. I would like to play that here too.
Welcome to Extra Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. I'm looking forward to this discussion. Jay-Z, the rapper,
As you can see, for some reason, when I go live, I just lose all control of my media player, so I'm able to fast forward shit. But I don't know why.
Mogul, in a lot of hot water, in a lot of controversy. He's caught up in the Club Diddy scandal, accused of participating in the rape of a 13-year-old, I believe in 2000 or many years ago, but there's a civil lawsuit going on, and Jay-Z issued a statement.
So this is just to bring context of when this actual interview actually even came out. It's not too long ago.
Rebuking these allegations and talked about his honor and he's different, and how the lawyer, Tony Busby, who's representing the alleged victim, doesn't understand who Jay-Z is and just how honorable Jay-Z is, and how he spent his whole life protecting children while he was drug dealing and making satanic music. It was all about protecting children, and there's no way Jay-Z would be involved in this. And so who better to discuss this with on this show than Larry Johnson, the former NFL star running back, Penn State star, Kansas City Chief, Pro Bowler, all-pro running back, now just one of the most fascinating people on social media. For those of us that like to dabble in conspiracy theories, Larry is fascinating. I hate to even call it conspiracy theories, but Larry's just fascinating because Larry will talk about whatever is interesting and whatever the conversations you're not supposed to have. Those are the conversations that Larry promotes. And Larry used to wear Rocawear, used to be associated with Jay-Z and Roc Nation. Larry Johnson, welcome back to the show. Larry, I'll just start with a very, very simple question. Should we take seriously these allegations against Jay-Z?
I think we should take serious any allegation that's involving the abuse of children and teenagers. And since we kind of know what this industry is, we need to look a little bit deeper. Now, they roll this carpet out in front of us because they want us to know. But of course, they're all going to do their due diligence with the PR and say, well, I'm honorable, I'm this, I'm that. But you've seen the symbolism. You've seen him wear do what thou wilt across his sweatshirt. We know that comes from Aleister Crowley. We know Aleister Crowley wrote a book called Sex Magic, which he promotes drugging and abusing children for the sake of some type of occult magic or energy that they formulate or they desire to make themselves younger. And then to carry that.
Hold for 1 second. Hold for 1 second, Larry. Aleister Crowley wrote a book that promoted the drugging of, what's the name of the book again?
It's called Sex Magic, and it's magic with a K on the end of it. Because he wanted to differentiate from real magic to his type of magic.
All right, continue. I'm sorry. I did not know that.
Yeah, so the music industry adopts this doctrine, well, the do what thou wilt, the law of Thelema. So you would have to think that bringing a 13-year-old child into an after party of the MTV Awards, which is even strange enough because where is this young lady's parents? But we know that parents love to try to make their kids stars if they have the opportunity. So they'll let them go with certain celebrities. And so this has been pretty much the the norm within these societies is to abuse and get after the children and to use and combine drug use with that. And we've seen it with Bill Cosby. We've seen it with other celebrities who are close knit into that small circle.
Well, I think one person we've seen who's directly connected to Jay-Z is R. Kelly. They had an album, The Best of Both Worlds. To me, they were both established intentionally. R. Kelly at the top of the R&B industry and Jay-Z at the top of the hip hop industry. I don't think you get those positions by accident. I don't think it's based on talent alone.
I never think it's based on just talent. And of course, he makes a lot of good music that made us tap our feet. And when 3 a.m. hits with the woman that we loved, it was the seal the deal type of music. But with that, yes, of course, being that close together, being behind the scenes and seeing how these people really feed off of each other, they're not separate. He came out with a quote said that you can't judge us like you judging every rapper. But sir, you're close. You have albums with these people. You have after parties with these people. You have celebrity functions where you go on trips and vacations with these people. So to say that you know nothing, even if you weren't a part of it, you have to know a little bit of something. But since they take a vow of secrecy, we're not going to be able to even scratch the surface of even if they put them on the witness stand because they all taken an oath.
Well, there are rumors that like Diddy is inside his prison cell and every time he gets out, he snitches on someone new trying to get out from underneath. Do you think someone like Diddy could, instead of, Jeffrey Epstein being killed or committing suicide, do you think Diddy is perhaps a source of information and maybe is snitching on people?
I think Diddy is the poor man's Ghislaine Maxwell. I think he's not going to snitch on anyone. I think he may allude to it, may be subliminal to it. But like I said before, these people take oaths, and this is being put in front of our faces just to mirror the Jeffrey Epstein, scandal and foolishness. And nothing came out of that. No one snitched. We know the flight logs. We know the people who have gone. None of those people have ever been brought into the courtroom to say, hey, I knew him or I didn't know him. And this went on, this didn't go on. It just kind of went away. So especially with, Negro America, they know we have a susceptibility to gossip and hip hop. So they use this as a distraction, knowing that nothing is going to come of it. It's just going to be running on and on and on. And then we get to the final show and then they're going to say, oh, these people changed their stories, or there was always a loophole. I mean, look at the Jussie Smollett situation. We know he lied about this being jumped. We know he lied about the persons that he was with. They lied. So to have the court turn over and say, no, you're good, you're free. You spent enough time doing this lie. I mean, come on. You have to assume it was going to go down the same exact way with Sean Combs.
Now, here's the trying to eat here. Here's the thing, right? You have to realize with Diddy, there's a difference between being an informant and snitching and giving out information. The information that Diddy has given out is enough to where one would have to think, okay, why does following this gentleman's incarceration do all these bodies start to drop around? You know what I mean? From political figures to regular people within the industry. I find it very interesting that certain people started having a fear for their life, as well as Angie Stone passing and Quincy Jones passing following this man's incarceration, to name a few.
So you think eventually nothing's going to happen to even Diddy or Sean Combs?
I mean, he may sit down for a little bit, but we don't know what happened to R. Kelly. Have we seen update photos of him in jail? Have we heard any stories of any inmate that has seen R. Kelly? Have you heard anything that came out of the jail cell he's in? And now that brothers got cell phones in jails, you trying to tell me nobody has said they seen R. Kelly? I don't know. But they're all in the same group. This is what they sacrifice or ritualize themselves for. This is what they do. This is a sense of worship for them. Why would they get punished for the way they worship or encouraged to worship? Like blackmailing is the number one thing to keep people in line. So why not continue to keep doing it? Why would I get punished to do it?
Larry, have you ever heard of the West Memphis Three?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the West Memphis Three was an occult-like killing of a young child, and HBO did 3 documentaries on it, and all 3 documentaries ended up accusing someone different of doing the crime. The West Memphis Three went down for it. Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miss Kelly. These are 3 teenage boys that murdered a really young child. And HBO created all of this reasonable doubt with these series of 3 different documentaries accusing someone else of doing it every time. And this is where I agree and slightly disagree with you. It's like, there is some type of an occult-like ritual, because I think the West Memphis Three did it. Yeah. And I think they had to go through, the Damian Eccles in particular, had to sit in prison, and then he gets sprung years later, and he becomes this celebrity. And Johnny Depp and all these people are waiting on him when he gets out of prison. And I can remember I went down this rabbit hole, and they had me convinced they were innocent. And then by the time I got to the bottom of the rabbit hole, I was like, oh my God, these guys did it. And and so that's what I almost think about Diddy and maybe even Jay-Z. It's like, you're gonna have to go through this imprisonment, humiliation, and then 10 years from now, 15, no different than the Central Park 5. You ever go down that rabbit hole? Those guys actually did it. They snitched on themselves. They did it with their parents sitting right there. They didn't rape the woman because they couldn't penetrate her, but they did do all the other stuff. But you do the time, 10, 15, 20 years, then they give you these $1 million settlements.
Which brings me to someone that I was talking to someone earlier. Shout out to this person. We're talking about earlier how they had mentioned to me that they're trying to resurrect the industry. And you can see it through little things like Jay-Z concert coming up, right? But it's happening, ironically, the same exact week that Kanye's concert is happening. So your only 2 big acts left, you have to use. You can't sell tickets with Drake. You can sell tickets with Kendrick Lamar. But I think that's what's going to happen, is that during the summertime, they're going to have a Kendrick Lamar album come out. Drake is going to drop around the same time. Kanye's concert is going to happen at the same time as Jay-Z. It's a last attempt at resurrecting the industry, because they want it to be a certain way for when Diddy gets released. Remember, we showed a couple of podcasts ago that Diddy is going to be released possibly next year. So the industry has to be in a certain hot plate position for Diddy when he comes back, so that it's a little bit easier to mesh him back in. But my whole thing is, it's not going to be the same way this time with them trying to resurrect the industry, because people are hip to everything that they are already doing. People are hip and have everything they do on a microscope. Kanye West, a Jay-Z, a Drake, a Diddy. We have these, Kendrick Lamar even. We have these people on a microscope now. It is not the same effect. You do not have the same brainwashing effects on the rest of us anymore.
Maybe that's what we're looking at as it relates to Diddy and Jay-Z.
And maybe, but Damian Eccles isn't part of the Hollywood elite. The Central Park guys aren't part of the Hollywood elite. These people are controlled. There's more money to be made through the gossip and entertainment than it would be with the West Memphis Three or the Central Park boys. Like this was going on, Sean Combs. It's a moneymaker. Not only a moneymaker, but it's a good distraction if you want to drag this along into something else. Now we know what's coming up. We know the Super Bowl is coming up, where Jay-Z still has a hand in the halftime show performances, and we know that Kendrick Lamar is pretty much protest rap. So does this fall into that? See, we don't see the final ending. We only see, A and B right now. We don't know D, E, and F. We only see it from the beginning of it. So we really don't know what's going to happen. But we know that in the span of the next 4 or 5 months, it'll tell us what we need to know and how they're using Sean Combs to whatever money-making scheme they're making or distraction. We all know where it's going to come or go to based on how the NFL deals with Jay-Z and how the court system deals with Sean Combs.
Obviously, you'd be speculating. And do you think that these allegations against Jay-Z could interfere with his relationship with the NFL?
As somebody who has been in multiple hot seats with the NFL, with the domestic violence and issues and stuff, and how they treated me during that, I would think they would do something or say something or even have a statement. I would think so, because obviously, doing what you did or being accused of doing what you did to a 13-year-old child, a teenager, I mean, that's a little bit harsh. I mean, this is almost like domestic abuse, and it's the first time the NFL has ever heard. I don't think it's ever heard, but when it comes to somebody getting raped or sexually assaulted like that, the NFL doesn't play with that. We know it has happened across the league, all over the place, but we don't know. But it'll tell you exactly what to make of this situation if the NFL either comes down hard or they treat this very softly, or just say, we'll wait to the end to see what happens.
Well, that brings us to a funny point right now of history, doesn't it? As you heard when this interview was actually released, this is right before the Super Bowl with Kendrick. And now we have had the Super Bowl with Kendrick, as well as we've had the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny since then, right? Funny how time flies. Funny how time flies. Jay-Z's allegations about, the whole Epstein thing has come and gone. It's come and gone. Now, of course, the Kendrick Super Bowl was, I believe, way before that. Way before the allegations with Jay-Z. But no, actually, no. The first time was that. Actually, yes, I'm wrong. No, I'm wrong. The Epstein files was right before Bad Bunny. The rape allegations were right before Kendrick Lamar's performance as well. So, yeah, both have been swept up under the rug by the NFL. Since then, both have been swept up under the rug. There's been nothing said as far as them not doing business with Jay-Z. So that just goes to show how high up in the ladder the man is.
I've heard this argument as it relates to Kanye West. There's a naivety to these black installed celebrities that I've heard people make the argument that Kanye actually thought, hey, I'm a billionaire now. I get to call my own shots. I'm a boss. I don't have to obey my masters. And that's when he kind of spun off the rails and they did these things to like, nah, bro, you still got these puppet strings on. I don't care what your bank account says. I wonder if that naivety is what's impacting Jay-Z, that maybe he got full of himself, thought he was at the same table as the actual leaders, and maybe they're putting Jay-Z back in his place.
It could be. I mean, obviously, the statements that he came out with, I mean, he really puts himself on the pedestal, talking about honor, that he's not that guy, that he really cares about the children. And obviously, we've seen the music, we hear the music, we know the symbolism. So you have to be really high up on the pedestal with this godlike mentality, as if you cannot be touched. I mean, you will meet your fate like everybody else in this world will meet their fate, and you will meet it going down broke, just like we can't take money out of this world, so we all go to the grave broke. And to have this mentality of being godlike, yes, I think this is a humbling experience. I know it's a humiliation experience. And no matter what he says, the symbolism contradicts what he actually truly believes. But those who are not hip to the game are usually fooled by the players on the court.
So Jay-Z, is he different than what Russell Simmons used to represent in the hip hop world? And Russell Simmons has been run out of the country and out of influence in America. He's basically out in exile. Is Jay-Z on the same level, different level than Russell Simmons?
Now, he's asking him these questions. I want to reiterate for those that are just tuning in. Larry Johnson has spent quite some time around Jay-Z back in the day, as he was a model for Rocawear Records, as well as he was a bodyguard for Rocawear Records. He spent some time around Jay-Z and his crew.
Same fate perhaps await Jay-Z.
I think so, and I don't even think it has to do with particularly this case. If you look at the way hip hop is going, it's going right into the gutter. Like we went through people who actually had a message and said a message. Now it went to materialism. Then it went to dope boy culture. Then it went to dance culture. Now it's just gone into ignorance culture of just saying anything you want and not necessarily being on beat when you say it. And I think if Jay-Z came out with an album right now, who would buy it? Like, the kids aren't listening to a 60-year-old rap about yachts, being a billionaire, the woman that he has on his arm, jewelry. None of these kids are financially stable enough to even care about that type of music. They like the drill beat stuff. It's either make me dance, make me kill somebody, or make me shake my butt. That's it. And if Jay-Z just put out an album, I don't think anybody would buy it. I don't think anybody would pay attention to it. He's already on his way out. The only thing that's keeping him relevant is his woman and the fact that she's doing concerts. Like, if right now, if Jay-Z booked the concert, who would show up? I mean, would he make money? I mean, we don't know. We just speculating, but we could tell by the way music is going, it's already moving away from that generation.
So you think we could be at the end of hip hop as this major cultural influence?
I think so. You already seeing hip hop already infiltrating the country genre. You've seen they're already about to turn country into pop, and next is coming after pop is rap. So you're gonna get more country rap stars than you get hip hop stars. And this is
what had happened was, what's going on?
This is no surprise. I mean, look what they did with the civil rights movement when they infiltrated the Dixiecrats. The people that really hated us and lynched us and hung us, we tried to infiltrate into that just to eat stale food from Woolworths. But this is what they do. They move us from one genre to the next for money, for prestige, and more control over the masses. That's pretty much it. But to go back to your question about comparing them to Russell, I would think they will almost be similarly the same. I mean, Russell likes young women. When Jay was going after B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rocawear photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there. And he rented this house, and we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there, and I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework. But she brought her mother with her, so it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking, loud music, and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves, but the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours was already alarming to me. So when I hear something like this happens, I can't really discount it and say, oh, he could never do this, because I'm hearing stories, I'm seeing it with my own eyes, and I've been in situations where something don't sound or look right, and it's usually involving children.
Larry, you've just blown my mind, and so I'm gonna have to ask you to. I just want to be clear on what I just heard. In 2006 or 7,
Yeah.
you're in Colorado at a winter party with Jay-Z and the people with Rock Nation. And
it was the people who helped out with the photo shoot. It was a winter campaign that we shot. Mm-hmm.
And it's at some very nice mansion somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah, up in the mountains somewhere.
And Beyonce is sitting relatively close to you, and there's a child there. And,
Yes.
and this is after 11 o'clock at night. And she says, "Doesn't this look sexy?"
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce, the singer.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Yes.
And see, that's the thing. Just like it fucked him up then, it fucks everybody up now to hear that. Doesn't it? But because it's Beyonce and Jay-Z, these type of things get unnoticed. When someone like this says something like this, it gets very unnoticed. And that's why I had to bring up the fact that every time this video is pulled up on YouTube, you see AI slap pictures of the wrong motherfucker. It's this Larry Johnson. It is not Grandmama Larry Johnson. No one has an actual picture of him, but of course his podcast. Which even that, you don't really see his picture of his face. I don't know if that's Peter protected or he wants to, keep it behind that. But at the same time, because Larry Johnson is very unknown and unnoticed, what he is saying gets swept up under the rug. Off the radar. Man just told you. He sat down at a party after doing a modeling gig, and he saw Beyonce, children, all dressed up. Children all dressed up. Children all dressed up at an adult party. She goes, "Isn't this sexy?" The fuck you mean, isn't this sexy? What the fuck? What do you mean? That ain't got nothing to do with the liquor of me. I'm leaving because this shit done got weird. This shit done got weird. I don't need to be around this. And I'm pretty sure that was probably the last time he was around that. Little does he realize, that the last time he gonna be around that. You wasn't supposed to see shit. And the way you acted after you saw shit, you got to go.
Yes.
And the reason why I believe you, I'm not gonna put a name to this. The reason why I believe you is like they get you out there and they float little test bubbles out there to see if you bite. Mm-hmm. It's like going fishing. Did I get a nibble? Did the bobber go down? Because I've been in that situation. I'm not gonna name names, but it was a prominent sports media figure that I had a social gathering at my apartment in downtown LA, Apex building. Probably 20 people inside my apartment. And someone tried to engage me in a conversation about, can't you understand why older men find 14 and 15-year-old women attractive? And I was like, no, I really can't. And then they followed back up, and I was like, and then I just walked away, and I made a mental note like, hey, this person is on some different shit, quite frankly. And I was like, and it shocked me because I wasn't expecting this from this person, and it's always stuck with me. And I would elaborate and give a few more details, but it would potentially give away the person if I gave any more details. but it was just like a test, and I can remember like, yeah, I just failed that test. And so whatever they got going on out here in LA, and they trying to figure out if they can get me in some kind of conversation about whether I was attracted to 14 and 15-year-old women, I just failed that test. So I don't think you're lying or exaggerating. I think that is real out there in Hollywood. It's part of the reason why I left Los Angeles. And Larry, to me, it's like you've watched The Godfather, Godfather 2 movies, Mafia movies. And what the music industry in Hollywood is much like the Mafia. It's like The Sopranos in terms of you can't become a made man until you killed somebody in the Mafia. You gotta make your bones, and it sounds to me in Hollywood and in the music industry, if you want to make it to the top, you must be involved in some sort of sexual deviancy before and they must know about it before they fully trust you. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree, because we all know how shameful it is to be messing around with a child, no matter what the age. And they know that the majority of the people in this country or in this world do not sit by and will not let anybody abuse children. So that's more of a shame thing they can control you with. Now, sacrificing somebody, that's personal. You know, not many people can add those or connect those dots of who did what and who did this, but it happens. But when it comes to sexual deviancy, as you said, it's more of we don't want the whole world to know what you've really been up to, so you have to do what we say do. And I think that's how they move. And like you said, I think it's like putting a worm on a hook. They see who bite. They're not gonna come up to you and say, hey, you like 5-year-olds? They're not gonna do that because you look at them weird, or you might just punch them in the mouth. But they'll put you in situations where if young children are around, they'll move you into it. It may not be a 5-year-old, but it'll start at a 19-year-old at a party. It'll go from a 15-year-old at a party. Then you show up at somebody's private home and residence, and it's like a 9-year-old. And then they keep going to see how far you can go. And I don't want to imagine it, but I know they're going as far as they can go until they get into animals. And I know when it comes to sexual deviancy and it comes to lust, there is no backstop to that until you reach an animal. And that's where, if we talk about the days of Noah, that's exactly where sexual deviancy ends up. It ends up with animals.
So let's put proof to context here, right? Also, let's put proof in the pudding. This is the 2006 Rocawear photo shoot that this gentleman attended. Now, of course, you're not going to see a picture of him, but as you can see, Jay-Z and Beyonce. So that is truth to what Mr. Larry Johnson is saying. Now, let's see if we can find a picture of Mr. Larry. If we can't, we can't. But let's see if we can find a picture of Mr. Larry. Okay, so this is Larry back in the day. As you can see, he was everywhere with them. He kind of favors Sean Paul a little bit. Okay, so real quick, I do want to look at this video here. The tragic end of Jay-Z and Larry Johnson, real quick. I forgot I had looked at this little video here, but this is a more detailed little video of Mr. Larry.
During the early 2000s, Jay-Z brought a couple of athletes into his tight inner circle, one being former NFL running back Larry Johnson. They were thick as thieves. Whenever you saw Jay-Z, Larry wasn't too far behind. They were the real Bonnie and Clyde. Their friendship eventually evolved into a business partnership, but sadly, as their lives went in different directions, Jay-Z turned his back on his right-hand man.
Rock bottom is almost losing custody of your daughter, not coming home at night, don't know where you are. It was kind of let life drag me along, and hopefully somebody would put me out of my misery.
Before we go ape, be sure to scoop up something to munch on at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of beef and bacon jerky and 3-wheel motion popcorn.
I wish I could skip it, but I can't.
One thing about RRG, we're always going to give you a good backstory. And this one starts on November 19th, 1979, when Larry was born to Christine and Larry Sr. in Maryland. His dad was a well-known and well-liked high school football coach during the time Larry played youth football. Larry's goal on the field was to always make his dad proud. At the age of 9, he caught the ball on a kickoff return and made a beeline for the sideline. Out of nowhere, an opponent crashed into him, spinning his helmet sideways.
And it was like a white light, and that was it. I laid out on the field. They tried to get me to go back in the game. I said, I don't want to go back in the game.
Larry told the Washington Post that when he got up, he was dizzy and had no idea where he was. He spent the remainder of the game on the sideline with an intense headache. There were no protocols in place to make sure he was okay, and Larry wasn't worried about that. His dad was watching from the bleachers, and all Larry could think about was how he let his dad down. And people would think he was too soft. Larry told the Post, "I didn't know how to redeem myself." Looking back on the incident, Larry suspects that, although he wasn't formally diagnosed, that incident was the first of many concussions. He went harder than ever in his family's basement, studying NFL footage and looking for ways to prove his toughness. By the time he entered middle school, he took things a step further by researching his opponents to find out which ones came from broken homes. He would then taunt those players on the field to get into their heads and throw them off their game. He wasn't the best on the field. However, he had the desire to learn as much as he could about the game, which made him an asset to the team. Eventually, coaches noticed he was exhibiting behavioral issues. According to the Washington Post, whenever he was benched, he would blow up at his coaches, and if a teammate or an opponent challenged him, he'd hit them with a cheap shot. He received a scholarship to Penn State, where his dad was working as the school's assistant football coach. During his undergrad years, Larry found himself in the back seat of police cars, and it wasn't uncommon for him to be pulled into disciplinary meetings with the coaching staff. While he still had the desire to make his dad proud, his underlying desire to prove his toughness led him to get into altercations with both men and women. According to the Washington Post, Larry began experiencing symptoms of depression in college, but he didn't seek treatment. Instead, he numbed himself with alcohol, which took him deeper into a dark place. He was the 27th pick of the 2003 NFL Draft and joined the Kansas City Chiefs. That same year, he was charged with aggravated assault and misdemeanor battery after he was accused of brandishing a weapon during an argument with a former girlfriend. The charges were dropped after he completed a domestic violence diversion program. During the 2005 offseason, Larry grew more disappointed with his endorsement deal with Nike. He wanted to model for them, but they weren't featuring him in their ads. He also wasn't pleased that they only gave him a $1,000 spending limit at their stores. So he ended his endorsement contract and signed with Team Rock, which was the parent company of Jay-Z's Rocawear apparel line at the time. Larry was the first athlete to sign on with the company, and they immediately put him in their full-page ad in Men's Fitness magazine. More national ads followed, and Team Rock had plans to put Larry in music videos as well. He started spending more time with Jay-Z, and they were photographed in the heart of every city, partying at nightclubs and at red carpet events. Larry told a Kansas City newspaper that Jay-Z kept a small group of confidants that included him and LeBron James. Larry added, "It's a real tight group. It goes beyond me just wearing clothes. We've become friends now." Larry admired Jay-Z's business sense and decided his end goal was to be just like him by creating his own clothing and accessories line. Larry also had the desire to start a marketing business for musicians and sports.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but what does that sound like to you? Does that not sound a little bit Diddy Farnsworth Bentley-ish. Yeah, Rockefeller symbol in his haircut. Like, he got branded. Kid basically got branded in his head. Like, and then him having the early signs of the CTE, and him, having his dysfunctions early on, he was kind of a perfect target for the industry, especially being a young NFL star, right? So I'm saying to myself, him getting close to Jay, it just keeps making me think about when Diddy slapped Jay on the ass. It makes me think about when Jazzo was like, he not with, you know what I'm saying? He would letting them fill him up. You know what I'm saying? He would let Jay-Z with them, letting them fill him up, man. It's only but so high he can go in that ceiling. I do remember that. So again, it makes me wonder, was there something going on between Larry and Jay we don't know about? If you get what I'm getting at.
Figures and possibly open a chain of jazz clubs across the U.S. By 2007, 27-year-old Larry had signed a 5-year extension with the Chiefs for an estimated $43.2 million. Despite the dough rolling in, some peculiar rumors emerged. An anonymous woman who worked at Trump Tower told Bossip website that Jay-Z and Larry not only co-owned one of the apartments in the building, but they also lived in it together as well. Allegedly. And get this, despite being in a long-term relationship with Beyonce, the woman stated she had never seen Beyonce in the building. The fact that Larry and Jay were both successful public figures at the time led many people to believe that the rumor was all cap. Why the hell would two millionaires need to shack up together and go half on a mortgage? But then, a sports writer out of Philly named Paul Domowitch confirmed the rumors in an article. According to another blog, Paul wrote, Johnson, who owns a home in New York with rapper Jay-Z, showed up in Kansas City Sunday for the first time since the team began its voluntary workouts. Welp. In 2007, Larry played Fantasia Barrino's love interest in the music video for her song When I See You. Larry told a Kansas City news outlet that Jay-Z cussed him out after he filmed the music video. Wait, what? Larry confirmed that Jay-Z told him, the less things you do, the more people will have interest in you. The more things you do, you water down your value. On the flip side, Jay-Z gave Larry the okay to appear in his Rock Boys music video, though. After close to 10 years of dating, Beyonce and Jay-Z became husband and wife in 2008. While Jay-Z was enjoying married life, Larry's life began to spiral out of control. Some nights he would fire weapons into strangers' lawns, or he would challenge people to fights just to prove his toughness. He had a me against everybody mentality. His aggression earned him a spot on football highlight reels, but it got to the point where he was unable to turn the aggression off when he left the field. The same year Beyonce and Jay-Z got married, Larry was accused of pushing a woman's head at a night spot. Months later, he was accused of spitting his drink on a woman and threatening to take her boyfriend's life. In 2009, he was sentenced to 2 years probation after pleading guilty to 2 separate charges involving 2 women at Kansas City nightclubs. And that same year, he was banned from all Kansas City Chiefs activities for calling a Twitter user a gay slur and for making disparaging comments about the head coach. In 2009, the day he was due back from serving another suspension, the Chiefs released him from his contract. He joined with the Cincinnati Bengals before signing with the Washington Redskins in 2010 for a 3-year, $12 million contract. Unfortunately for Larry, he was released from the Redskins 6 months later. Sometime around 2010, he welcomed a daughter named Jalen. He told the Washington Post, "My greatest fear is my daughter falling in love with somebody who's me."
Okay, so I'm actually glad it kind of cut off there, but anyway. So Larry, I think, was one of the people with I think he was one of those people because BJ Investigates. We had played a video on the pod not too long ago where BJ Investigates was explaining, if you guys remember, there was a court case where they got dismissed. Jay-Z had been accused of doing experiments on people, and it was very MK Ultra like experiments, and it just makes me think about the whole CTE thing with Larry Johnson. Is there something else, behind that? You know what I mean? Is there something else behind what happened with him in did they try to just like, how did they actually dismiss him? You know what I'm saying? How did they act? Did they try to do like an MIB with the chew and it didn't work? Because he still has memories of things that actually happened, but he doesn't have too many. But we have to look at him still as like a Roger Bonds. And it's kind of crazy how Gene Deal has kind of gone quiet recently, except for a little incident that he had, supposedly a little run-in with Mace. I just seen he had like a run-in with Mace a couple of days ago. Emmerich put it out. It wasn't too nothing crazy. They didn't have like a fist fight and like that, but just a little tit for tat back and forth. But something he always has for years. But you have to look at him in a similar way of the bodyguard thing that, they have information back in the day of times that they actually hung around these people and saw things that they wasn't supposed to see. And that's one of those memories that he has of him sitting around Beyonce and seeing, those children. And it just so happens that he finally has gotten even asked these questions all these years. Imagine if someone actually sat down and asked him some real questions about what he seen back then. I'm pretty sure he has more than just that story. I'm pretty sure he has more than just that one story. If you really was to sit down and ask him. How I know? Another video I got sent here. And this was kind of interesting. This post that he actually did recently regarding the GQ interview.
When no other brands. So let me start off by saying this. I do not have beef with this man or his wife. They have always treated me with respect and hospitality. He even supported me when no other brands at the time of my professional career would touch me. I have no regrets with my involvement with Rocawear, Team Rock, and the relationships I've formed. But those things had to die off because I choose a different path. He chose the darkness and Satan. I chose light in Yahuwah. So let's get into this interview, which I thought was hilarious. Right off bat, they told you exactly who he is. People are trying to break down why he had this Congolese mask and how it meant for the struggle or how it meant for the culture. They don't care about who they are as far as their identity. They're never going to tell you who they truly are or who we truly are. But they know, and they chose a side to be subjugated. He got his hands in the pyramid here. He got his hands in the pyramid here for the photo shoot. His thumbs in the pyramid here for the photo shoot. And of course, you see the Eye of Horus or the Eye of Ra, which is the one-eye symbolism that is all connected to Freemasonry or Prince Hall Freemasonry. As you can see here, it's all esoteric knowledge. They go from black and then they go from white in one 35-minute video. The interview is wearing a black hat with a white background. Then he wears a white hat and the black background, just like the floor in York Rite, Scottish Rite, and Prince Hall Freemason lodges is the checkerboard flag. So the very first part of the interview, he wanted to jump in and what happened to him as being accused of raping a young woman. He didn't really go into it because the interviewer was selected for a particular reason and he wasn't going to give him any hard questions where he couldn't handle it. But all you have to see is what he's been propagating throughout his career. I mean, no one...
These are things we pointed out, is it not? Let me make sure my mic is on. I'm saying this. These are all things we pointed out. The duality and the Freemason symbolism that was in the interview. These are things we pointed out as well. There's other people that have broken down a lot of the symbology, like the paintings that he was actually manipulating was similar to the witch, Mrs. Abramovich. I'm forgetting her first name now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The witch that he has done business with, the new one, not the one that he had the tit for tat with during the Picasso video. I'm talking about the new one that he associates himself with now. So it's all this symbology all this symbolism, I should say, was not there for no reason. Of course, they do it to hiding in plain sight. But again, I point out the same thing. To do what thy wilt was even displayed in the interview where he was trying to say, I don't want you to say that word aloud anymore. Do what thou wilt.
is out here really wearing do what thou wilt, which is a quote by Aleister Crowley. If you know anything about Aleister Crowley, he was a high-level Freemason who believed in sex magic. He meant drugging young children so they could achieve spiritual enlightenment. In theory and practice, in the Book of Magic, he even admits that in order to achieve this higher level of spirituality, that you go after a young white male or a young
Who the man? What's going on?
male child.
Yeah, so I wanted you to talk a little bit about this idea of like you said earlier, like the things that you do for the culture, the ways that you put on, the ways that you try to protect and move forward, but kind of the pushback that you get sometimes about like people throw capitalists at you in a derogatory sense.
Yeah, I think in that verse specifically, the only thing I heard coming up was the American dream until we started being successful. And it was like, wait a minute, you're selling out because you're making money. That was the first thing that was put on musicians. Like, no, I make art first. And then I make sure that I'm compensated for my art. I didn't take advantage. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people. I didn't take no one. That's not my reputation. That's not what I do. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people or taking advantage of, the loopholes in the system or some wrinkle in like a capitalist structure.
As I said, that's subjective.
This is where it gets a little iffy. And this is why I don't think there are true Prince Hall billionaires. He signed a 10-year, $150 million, 360 deal to Live Nation in 2008, then came back 2017 to sign another 10-year deal, a 360 deal with $200 million. These are the architects of this so-called 300.
Now, let's do the math on that, y'all. 2026. Think about that. Is that not the same exact shit that happened with Drake? Is it not the same thing we are seeing happen with Drake? Drake signed a $400 million deal. Drake signed a $400 million deal, y'all. $400 million with Universal. As soon as that contract was about to be up, this Kendrick beef comes up, and guess who's not at the same value anymore? That contract is up in another what? Year? That contract is up in another year. Guess who all of a sudden is doing a Live Nation concert this summer, huh? Guess who all of a sudden said, it's time to come back outside. I got a deal to finish, huh? Except you ain't the same value no more. So you trying to make sure your penny is still worth the same. It ain't, my brother. Your name has already been tarnished through these allegations. I see the chess move. I see the big chess move now. I see the big chess move that got Jigga Man sweating out there. Okay, now it makes sense why somebody doing concerts in the summertime with Kanye. Now somebody wants to resurrect business and try to make some money. Now it makes sense. Somebody's time is short. Somebody's time is short, and they are running on borrowed time and money.
160 deal. It is structured, often leads to financial exploitation. So if he's a billionaire, then these men got to be trillionaires, because there's no way they would give that much freedom to any black artist to control their entertainment, control their license, control who they are, control the money they make from touring without any of these guys having their hands in it. The top guy is Hanson, is a manager of former rock bands. Everybody knows Leo Cohen, and these two Tennessee lawyers are the ones that put together the 360 deal. You think when they put this deal together, it was to give artists rights and control over their artwork? No, it's literally financial slavery. They need you Negroes to believe that they are billionaires, so you keep going into this industry and then getting exposed and then knowing that you have to...
Yes, yes, because we went over that on the last part, I believe, too, with the GQ interview. Yeah, that's exactly it. He had to get Drake out the way. We had pointed that out. He kept on his little shots at Drake, and then we figured out that pound cake, not pound cake, but that verse, I think it was Love All, I think it's called. Never had a lot. This is all I need. That verse where Jay was talking to Drake, he was dismissed from he's being dismissed from the industry and devalued. So it would make sense that he needed Drake out the way so that he could be the head honcho right now. Because while Drake was still being the head honcho of music, Jay couldn't be the head honcho. Especially, should I say, he couldn't be at the same value if Drake is still hot. Like a Drake album is dropping the same week of a Jay-Z concert, it's not gonna hit the same. But if Drake is at D value and Jay-Z does a concert, it's a little bit different.
Open up your rectum or your prostate in order to elevate into getting a billionaire status. They don't tell you the other side of these deals.
You can get as many degrees as you want, but it's just like trying to get all the degrees you want, but you still got a ceiling. He can't go but so high because the people that he worshiping, that he kissing their ass and letting them feel him up and shit, they don't know shit. He's involved, but he's involved with this shit, man.
See, the reason why they pick drug dealers is because if you can sell poison to your own people and destroy them, it ain't nothing for you to do it and say it over a beat. So basically, used him. He was literally the least percentage of owning the Brooklyn Nets. But the reason why they put him up here with the owner, because they needed him to be an image to get people out of their housing. So you glossed over the fact that this is a black man in the corporate white world, really being an image and a representation of us, that you can make it out of the hood and you can clean up your past and you could be right up there with the big dogs. No, they were kicking people out of their homes in Brooklyn. Anybody who's attached to Masonry, it's the cult of Baal. They believe in sex worship and human sacrificing. So he quit rap or retired from rap a little short under 2005. His nephew, which he was close with, he was the one that was sacrificed. Then he came out of retirement, October 27th. And then he came out with Kingdom Come, and Khalik is featured on Lost Ones. He thought that he could live his art outside of control. And that's why they funneled him back in to Masonry.
When you say they, like, who is that?
Whatever the threat to, however the system is set up to keep thats at status quo, and keep us in a position of using words like allow. So anyone that's culpable in creating the system that we operate under, that's they.
Yeah.
That's they.
Everybody know who they is.
Right.
They can't do anything without allowance. That means York Rite, Scottish Rite allow them to put out a certain image. Jewish mysticism or the Talmud allows them to get away with certain rituals and rites because that's their form of passage to elevate themselves through degrees. It has to involve children. It has to involve sexuality. It has to involve blood sacrificing.
You said something just now, though, about you pushing independence, right? Kind of like in the spirit of Prince. When you embody that, do you feel like you are kind of setting a mold or leading a charge for like what the successful black man is allowed to do? And like breaking these spaces, breaking these confines?
Yeah. I even want you to take that out of your vocabulary.
Take what?
Allowed. You know what I'm saying? We're not allowed to do anything. You know, in order for someone to allow you, they have to have authority over you.
Can't go but so high because the people that he worshiping, that he kissing their ass and letting them feel him up and shit, they don't know shit.
At the end of the day, they're slipped in there to be gatekeepers for the black community. That is all. Regardless if he says that there's a problem with the alt-right or people going to Republican, he seems to forget that Trump pardoned a snitch that is on his team. So they flip-flop back and forth, and they don't think
Desiree Perez.
You guys can readily identify when they're lying or not because y'all so mesmerized by the artwork, which is why they put everything as visuals and music in front of you Negroes' faces because you can't readily discern if it's masonry, Luciferianism, Satanism, or if it's righteous. And because you had never seen any image of righteousness on the television, you are fooled by whatever image they give you.
So I was looking at chat, looking down at it. Like I said, it comes up a little fast when I look at this way. So, yeah, he's trying to get back in power, but you're saying he's going to fail because Kendrick is trying to demolish Jay-Z, which, of course, we talked about before with Murals, the intro song on GNX. So now Jay-Z and Diddy's friendship makes sense. Doesn't have to pay Biggie's fam royalties because Puff stole them. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. We had pointed out with the City is Mine record. Let me hold it down, dog. Let me take those rings. And just like your story, the commission remains. Niggas cross the T's and dot the I's. Now that I got too popular to cop them pies, taking this rap shit serious to my demise. Basics in the basements. Watching my dog. Oh, yeah. Asking my dog for advice and when he can't say shit. My hatred is fueled when... Yeah, my hatred is fueled. Just give me a sign. Now let the world know that the city is mine. I will never forget my uncle telling me, yo, this whole video is Jay-Z pretty much confessing that he is the, what do you call it? Because he was supposed to be, he's supposed to be like the guy that got away. He was portraying the guy that got away. I'm trying to remember the actual name of the person he was portraying in the City is Mine video. Kaiser Sosa. Thank you. Kaiser Sosa. He was pretty much being the Kaiser Sosa of things. The guy that got away and no one would expect he got away with the murder. Right? That was the whole theme of the City is Mine video. And like I said, my uncle even pointing out the lyrics of the first verse, pretty much of him confessing that he had something to do with Biggie's murder, but no one would ever suspect that he had something to do with Biggie's murder. Kind of crazy. But yeah. So yeah, it makes plenty of sense. Larry keeps his foot on Jay-Z's neck. It's going to protect the ex-lover. So that I was just thinking about the Dead Presidents video of how. Let me see. Should I put it here? Of even how the let's go to YouTube. Of how I think their relationship actually even started with Jay-Z and Diddy, and people just never paid attention to it. Wait for this ad to finish. People just never paid attention to it. It would be this right here because the interesting story behind. Now I'm not going to play the actual music, of course, but this little scene right here, to where they're playing Monopoly with real money, and as you can see at the level that Jay-Z was already at versus where Biggie was, the only brand new kid on the block. So of course, that jealousy would still be there when someone wants to, of course, take that King of New York ownership away from somebody. But yeah, very interesting story about Larry Johnson there. I guess while we're still on, sports and hip hop,